Good morning, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. Time to make a video. Well, it's not time to say Happy New Year because it is still December the 29th, 2019. It is 9:39 here in West Michigan. It is in the 50s here today, and it's raining, and it is supposed to turn to snow by tomorrow. Not light snow. Nothing that will be that bad. So yeah, I am writing in my diary this morning as my habit. I'm on page 1064. By this week, I'll be on January the 1st, 2020, page 1, and where we start again. Of course, I could be being, presumptuous in believing that will be alive on January the 1st, 2020. Who knows? Our lives are in the hands of the Lord. He knows the number of our days. So in this video, this morning I've been reading Moses' Choice. This has appeared in reprint by Jeremiah Burroughs. He was an English divine from 1599 to 1646. And it says, Moses' choice, with his eyes fixed upon heaven, discovering the happy condition of a self-denying heart, delivered in a treatise upon Hebrews 11, 25 through 26 by Jeremiah Burroughs. So what is Hebrews 11? The Epistle of Hebrews is in the New Testament, and the text of the treatise, Hebrews 11, let me see here, 25 and 26. By faith, Moses, when he became of age, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he looked to the reward. And then it goes on in 27, verse 27, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. So, that's true about every Christian. We go through our days, we go through life, but we see him who is invisible by the eyes of faith. We know that, we know by faith that that we rather enjoy God than the passing pleasures of this world, the passing pleasures of sin. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I want to show you thrift store haul books and books from the Book Nook, the library used bookstore, books from the Finville Library used bookstore, so I can get these down the lower level this morning. It is 9:42 in the morning here in Holland, Michigan. It is 69 degrees. It is December the 29th. I want to get these books down the lower level, get them out of the living room. And so when we get into the year 2020, I have a table that is cleared, ready to be stacked up with more books. Okay, yesterday my wife went to visit her elderly friend Pam, and that's in Douglas, which is south of us, not that far away, about maybe 20 minutes. Then you have, by Douglas, you have Finville, and I mentioned in previous videos, my wife went to Finville Public Library and looked at their used books. Well, she did that yesterday before coming home. She went to Finville Public Library. She called me up and said, You want this book? She mentioned different books on the telephone, and this is what she brought home from the Fenville Public Library used bookstore. The first book, now somebody made a comment that I showed the books too fast, so I'm going to hold this up for here. This is the Battle of Britain, Dowding and the First Victory, 1940, Cascale Military Paperbacks. So this is the Battle of Britain. My wife bought this because it was 25 cents, so she bought it. And then she bought this book I have already, but I have an old hardback, and this is a paperback, and I collect this writing. I have like, I don't know, at least 10 of his books. Passage to Juneau, A Sea and Its Meaning by Jonathan Raban. This is like a travel memoir. He sailed up there to Alaska, and he has books like that. And he's an interesting writer if you're into travel memoirs. She picked up this little book of poetry by E. Cummings, 100 Selected Poems. I just showed recently I had gotten a biography from the Book Nook by E. Cummings, one of America's famous poets. Then she picked up this John Douglas MacArthur study, The Far Eastern General by Michael Schaller. I told her to get this. I collect books on Douglas MacArthur. He's an interesting individual, and so I got it was only a quarter. You can't go wrong for a quarter. She picked this book up. She just got it because she didn't know if I had it. This is by Don DeLillo, The Point Omega. I have this already. I have almost all of Don DeLillo's novels. This is one of his, I think his later ones. It was first copyrighted in 2010. This is the one, I collect books on Winston Churchill, and this is one my wife found for 50 cents, hardbacks of 50 cents, Warlord, The Life of Winston Churchill at War, 1874 to 1945, by Carlo D.S. I have another book by Carlo D.S. on Dwight Eisenhower that I picked up at a thrift store a couple months ago. And he's written a biography on General Patton, which I don't have. Patton, A Genius for War. Eisenhower's A Soldier's Life, which I have in our Eisenhower collection. So this is it. Then she picked up, this is a Kurt Vonnegut I had already, but I had an old paperback, and this is a hardback. Kurt Vonnegut, Timequake. I have almost everything by Kurt Vonnegut. Biographies, literary studies by Kurt Vonnegut. This is another, I collect the writings of A.N. Wilson. He's a British novelist. He writes nonfiction. He wrote a book on the Victorians. He wrote a book on Queen Victoria. He's written a book on London. He's written a book on the Apostle Paul, a biography on Jesus. And this is the Rise and Fall of the House of Windsor by A.N. Wilson. So I collect his writings. So my wife, only 50 cents. Then my wife picked up this book at the Fenville Public Library used bookstore. 6 Frigates. Was it Frigates? It's like a battleship. And this is The Epic History of the Founding of the U.S. Navy by Ian W. Toll. Frigates. So she got that. And then she picked up this memoir, Keep Your Head Down, Vietnam, the 60s, and a Journey of Self-Discovery by Doug Anderson. I collect memoirs and books on the 60s, people who were involved in the Vietnam War, anti-war movement. So I got this, like 50 cents. So she got all those books for $4. You can't go wrong with $4. Now these are the books I picked up at the Book Nook. I picked up this book yesterday at the Book Nook. This is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I didn't have a copy of Wuthering Heights, and I come across it recently, and I like to read it in 2020. This is a copy of Wuthering Heights. And then I brought home this book from the Book Nook, The China Miracle, The Hidden History of American Disaster in Asia by James Bradley. I have another book by James Bradley, The Imperial Cruise, which I have downstairs somewhere. I can't find it. I went looking for it. I can't remember the full title, but The Imperial Cruise. So I got those from the Book Nook. These I got at thrift stores around where we live. Whatever Happened to the Reformation. This is a nonfiction on about why the effects of the Protestant Reformation has not being acknowledged today in evangelical Christianity. It's a different essays, edited by Gary L. W. Johnson and R. Fowler White. First essay, Introduction, The Eclipse of the Reformation in the Evangelical Church, Much Ado About Nothing. That's the introduction. Then the first essay, Distinguishing the Postmodern Prison, Douglas M. Jones. Just goes on to, it was only 50 cents. And if I see an interesting Christian book that seems to be conservative, evangelical, and reformed, I buy it. Then I picked this book up at a thrift store, English Spirituality in the Age of Wesley, edited by David Lyle Jeffrey. This is an Erdman's book. It's basically selections by 18th century English divines. Like you have, that's a picture of John Wesley. It has in here selected writings of John Wesley, Isaac Watts, William Law, Charles Wesley, Philip Doddridge, George Whitefield, John Fletcher, who was a Methodist, William Cooper, John Newton, just different selections from their writings, which are representative of English spirituality in the age of Wesley. This is a book I picked up at the Book Nook. I forgot to mention this one, The Irregulars, Ron Dahl and the British Spy Ring in Wartime Washington by Jennet Constant. Yeah, I got this at the Book Nook too. So I got that. And then I picked this book up at a thrift store, The Shepherd's Life, Modern Dispatches from an Ancient Landscape. This is a memoir of a shepherd in the Lake District in England, and about their way of life, shepherds. It had a buzz a couple of years ago. It's by James Rebanks, and it's like a memoir of the life of shepherds there in the Lake District there in England. This is Umberto Eco, The Mysterious Flame of Queen Lona. I had this already, but I wasn't sure. And I have it in an old hardback. This is a paperback edition of this novel by Umberto Eco. Then I picked up Miser Eckhart, who was a medieval German mystic from the Rhineland. I had this already. I have a 2-volume a selection of the writings of Miser Eckhart and the classics of Western spirituality, but I like this little Penguin Classic edition. It was only, 25 cents. Selected writings by Miser Eckhart. I like this little paperback. Picked this. This is by Bruce Chatwin, who he's written novels. He's mainly known for his travel writings. This is selected from his travel, adventure, literary craftsman collection of profiles, travelogues, and stories by Bruce Chatwin. I had this already, but I think mine's an old hardback. This is a paperback. What Am I Doing Here? A Great Traveler's Autobiography, a chanting full of marbles, monsters, and frauds by Bruce Chatwin. Then I picked this book up at a thrift store. This is a book on America. It's a literary criticism, literary study of American literature. The Unusable Past, Theory and Study of American Literature by Russell Rising. I noticed there's a chapter in here, the problem of Puritan origins kind of interests me. Cultural theories of American literature. Self-reflective theories of American literature. Just looked interesting. It's only 50 cents. Then I picked up these 2 crime novels, which this is the one I've been reading the last 2 days while watching college football. This is Bangkok 8 by John Burdett. These all take place in Bangkok, Thailand. And this is another one by him, Bangkok Tattoo. He wrote 6 of these John Burdett kind of crime detectives kind of stories. So I've been reading this as I watch college football the last 2 days. I ordered a third. I had our oldest son Caleb and Emily gave me an Amazon gift card, and I bought volume 3, the third in the series of this Bangkok series by John Burdett. There's 6 of them. I really like the way he writes, and it's kind of you read something to take you into a different world, and like everything I read, you take you into a different. So I'm going into the underworld of Bangkok, and it's kind of interesting. So those are the thrift store used books, the books from the Book Nook. And yeah, now I can put all these down the lower level, try to find a place for them. It's getting really, really crowded down there. So today we'll watch professional football, the playoffs. My wife went to worship this morning, and it's raining outside, and this little knit cap our son Josiah and Hannah got this for me and for my Christmas present. So that was kind of nice of them. Keeps my head warm. So I hope you had a good week last week, and you have a good new week. Hope you have a good new year. So thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for the comments. Somebody commented about this morning. I was looking at a comment, and he was looking at an older video, and he commented, "Why do you read Jack Kerouac?" And I thought to myself, well, I read Jack Kerouac because he was an American writer. Why do I read John Updike? Why do I read Philip Roth? Why do I read Jeremiah Burroughs? I just read. And I don't think that's anything. I think a Christian can read Jack Kerouac. A Christian can be an abstract painter. A Christian can be, he can play the drums in a Christian rock band. I mean, I don't see why a Christian can't read Jack Kerouac or Allen Ginsberg or William Burroughs or E. Cummings or Wallace Stevens. He's a great poet. Or read the writings of Iris Murdoch or Mary Shelley or Emily Bronte and The Wuthering Heights. I mean, does being a Christian limit to you what you can read? Now, as a Christian, you're always reading with discernment. You're just not reading with your eyes closed. You have a Christian has a world and life view. He has a moral code. He has a way that he perceives and understands the world. And I've been a Christian 50 years, and my belief in the worldview of biblical Christianity is not going to be changed just because I read Jack Kerouac. I mean, like I have seen the beauty and the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ revealed in Holy Scripture. So my heart is set on Christ and Him alone. And I don't read Jack Kerouac 24 hours a day. I mean, I spend a lot of time just not reading. I spend a lot of time just in silence, praying, meditating, contemplating, reading books like Moses' Choice. Anyway, I'll stop my rambling. Once again, I hope you had a good last week. Have a good new year. And until next time, bye.